10 car manufacturers that almost got bankrupted. You will be surprised to know that it's been more than 100 years since the first car graced us with its presence. Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we're going to discuss around 10 car manufacturers that almost got bankrupt. Number 10. Honda. You just won't believe this, Honda initially went completely bankrupt in the late 1960s and was saved by their new release of Honda Civic in 1972. Civic originally has survived for more than 10 generations and is one of the mainstream number plates when it comes to North America, Asia, and Europe. Let me tell you more about the story behind Honda and its near failure. Honda was originally one of the largest motorcycle manufacturers in the 1960s, but its car lineup was small and quite unsuccessful. Sales were so low in the late 1960s that the said Japanese company considered closing its automobile divisions. However, it made one last attempt to still save its automobile divisions in 1970 when it replaced an N600 with a Civic. It made quite a few changes, such as being bigger than its predecessor and fitted the Civic with the better and more modern features. The Civic finally rose to fame locally. The oil crisis also helped the nameplate become a success abroad, including in the United States against the heavier and less fuel-efficient subcompact alternatives from Ford, Chevrolet, and AMC. So yes, it's safe to say that Honda Civic saved the Honda company and pulled it from near bankruptcy. Number 9. Lamborghini. Every car lover's dreams is to one day own or ride in a Lamborghini. You are going to be in shock after knowing the fact that the said car company has gone bankrupt and has been sold 5 times since 1963. Let's tell you the story behind its near bankruptcy. Ferruccio, the owner and the developer of Lamborghini, was pretty good at making cars. Throughout the 1960s, the said person created some of the wildest, awesome, and most influential sports cars in the history that we still can match with. The glasses were always rose-colored, leading Ferruccio to sell his beloved brand only after 11 years under him. Then the said car was passed around many different companies who were never able to do justice to it, until finally it was given to Volkswagen in 1998. Volkswagen tried to do justice to the sad supercar and place it under the care of the Audi group. Number 8. Citroen. This French brand Citroen, as the name suggests, has been famous for creating some of the most interesting vehicles. It also created aesthetic vehicles that has ever hit the automobile scenes and has graced us with their presence. As always, when a crisis hits, no matter how unique and different your car is, it will fail. For all of the unique characteristics that Citroen had instilled in its car, there was just one it shared in common with the above automakers, and is the reasons why it is here in our list. It went bankrupt a lot. Number 7. Ford. When it comes to car makers, one of the most dominant ones was Ford. You really shouldn't miss out on this. Stay stuck to your screen, fellas. Ford was actually in the worst positions, especially after its founder Henry Ford died in 1947. When the main controller of the developer died, it's safe to say there was a lot of chaos in the company, but Henry Ford too stepped in. Now, the outdated pre-war cars were replaced with the 1949 Ford, which also proved as a miracle in saving the said company. Yes, this vehicle didn't have a name, mostly because companies in those days were quite outdated and preferred selling one basic model in various trim levels and body styles. 1949 was the first all-new designs introduced by the Big Three after World War II, and it was unlike anything else on the market, and finally, Ford came back from the verge of being bankrupt. Number 6. Volkswagen. We all know the famous car brand Volkswagen. Well, let's just make you aware of how it was on the brink of bankruptcy once. You really shouldn't miss out on this. This sad 83-year-old German automotive maker stunned the world when in 2015 it was found to have faked its diesel emissions testing results, leaving everyone shocked. The Environmental Protection Agency revealed that Volkswagen had secretly installed software that switched on during emission tests, making the vehicles appear low emissions. This practice has helped over 11 million cars with diesel engines cheat on environmental tests over the past 6 years. Thus, it was one of the biggest reasons as everyone was concerned about the environment. Finally, 3 years later, after the said discovery that left makers and distributors shocked, Volkswagen redeemed its reputations and returned to success. Number 5. Aston Martin. Let's tell you more about this luxury car that was approximately a dream vehicle for everyone out there. After all, dreams are achieved only when we work hard and give our best for them. Like many luxury sport car manufacturers, Aston Martin struggled through the most of the 1980s and early 1990s. The Brits entered new territory with the Lagonda in 1976, but the sedan and the existing DBS and V8 Vantage couldn't keep the brand profitable. Thus, the 1994 Aston Martin DB7 saved the company and helped it rise again, just as the phoenix rose again from the ashes. Number 4. Buick Regal. The 2000s were admittedly difficult times when it comes to American car makers. the 2008 financial crisis hit both General Motors and Chrysler hard, to the point where they had to file for bankruptcy. Oldsmobile and Pontiac weren't the only divisions of GM that faced quite a discontinuations. Initially, Buick was also struggling to survive. However, GM chose to give the brand a new chance by taking it to the Chinese market. It was like giving the said brand a new life. In 2008, Buick launched the Regal, essentially a rebranded Opel insignia. Buick's immediate success was also backed by the Opel-based crossovers, but the Regal can be regarded as the nameplate that finally saved the brand from its ultimate crisis and close bankruptcy. Number 3. BMW. You wouldn't believe what happened with this German car manufacturing company BMW. Just stick to your screen and you will be left amazed with what we're going to tell you right now. World War II caused massive financial and infrastructure problems for BMW. Not only its factories were heavily bombed during the actions, but the company was also banned from restarting car productions. The Germans had to survive somehow, and they did it by making pots, pans, and bicycle until it was allowed to build motorcycles in 1948. However, slow sales of the 501 and small profit margins from the Isetta pushed BMW into bankruptcy in the late 1950s. Just think what would have happened if it went ahead and filed for it. Finally, like a new wave of sunshine, the 507, a sports roadster introduced in 1956, didn't meet expectations, and its high production costs added an extra burden on the actual car makers. The situation then became so dramatic that BMW almost accepted an acquisition by Mercedes-Benz. Only months before the final talk for this deal to happen, the Germans introduced the 700, a small rear-engine sedan with unibody constructions, a first for BMW, thus leading it to save the whole company. Number 2. Mercedes-Benz. You really shouldn't miss out on what we're going to tell you about a very popular to this date company, Mercedes, and how it was on the verge of going into dust. As Germany was defeated in World War II and dismantled by the Western powers and the Soviet Union, Mercedes-Benz was pretty much unable to continue business as there was a lack of resources. Its factories were destroyed and its pre-war models were too outdated to survive against the newer models as the competition was backbiting and never ending. Finally, the unexpected hope came in 1952 from the chief engineer Rudolf Uhlenhaut, who conceived the W194 race car and helped it not biting into dust, or we would have just known Mercedes as the thing of history. Number 1. Chrysler. You don't want to miss out on this, especially what we're going to tell you about one of the well-known and most effective car brands in the world, Chrysler. It's safe to say that the said company has its fair share of financial troubles in the late 70s. Things got relatively bad and then worse when massive quality issues associated with the company's F-body compacts resulted in huge warranty and recall costs, as well as rapidly declining sales. Now, as we all know, if there will be no sales, there will be no revenue. Later, threatened by bankruptcy, Chrysler hired ex-Ford president Lee Iacocca in 1978, who convinced the government to give the company a $1 billion bailout, which effectively proved to be the long-awaited miracle and saved Chrysler from falling miserably and going bankrupt. It's safe to say that after that, Chrysler quickly bounced back and just a few years later purchased AMC and the Jeep divisions. Wrapping it up, that's all we need to tell you about the 10 car companies that almost went bankrupt. Don't forget to like and comment on your views on this topic. Also, if you haven't subscribed already, push that button and press the bell icon to be always notified about everything else we update. See you in the next video. Until then, fellas.